about Michael Phelps. We all know he's the most decorated Olympian of all time, right? I mean, get this. If Phelps were a country, he'd be one of the top swimming nations in history. That's just insane. But the real question is, how? How did he do it? It wasn't just about being a physical specimen. No, it was all about his mindset. A mindset forged in pure obsession and discipline. So let's break it down. Let's dive into the blueprint of what makes a champion. And it all starts right here with this one sentence from a teacher: you will never amount to anything. Can you imagine? That's the kind of thing that could just crush a kid. But for Michael Phelps, it did the exact opposite. It lit a fire. This wasn't just about swimming anymore. This became about proving everyone, especially that teacher, dead wrong. He said he never forgot her name, her face, or even where he was sitting when she said it. And you better believe he used that as fuel for his entire career.
All right, section 1. From restless kid to swimmer. So how on earth do you go from being a kid who literally can't sit still in a classroom to becoming the greatest Olympian of all time? Well, you've got to find an outlet. And for Phelps, the swimming pool. Man, that wasn't just a place to race. It was his sanctuary. You know, as a kid, Phelps was just a bundle of energy. He was bouncing off the walls. He was diagnosed with ADHD, struggled to focus, and dealt with a lot of anger. School was a real battle for him. But then he got in the water, and everything just clicked. He could channel all that restless energy, all that frustration, and turn it into pure speed. He even said he could scream underwater where nobody could hear him. The pool wasn't just a sport, it was his release. And then came the turning point. He's just 11 years old, and his coach, the legendary Bob Bowman, sits him and his parents down and lays out this absolutely audacious vision. He tells them, you can make the Olympic team in 4 years by the time you're 15. I mean, think about that. For a kid like Phelps, that vision was everything. It gave him one single, massive, crystal clear goal to pour all of that chaotic energy into. Okay, so the goal is set. Now the real work begins. And this is where the legend of the Michael Phelps work ethic is really born. It's what we're calling forging the beast mindset. And it was built on one simple, absolutely brutal philosophy. Preparation is everything. Check out this number, 2,190. What is that? That is the number of consecutive days of training Michael Phelps put in during a 6-year stretch. Let me say that again. 6 years. Not a single day off. No Sundays, no holidays, no Christmas, no birthdays, no excuses. The logic behind it was just ruthless and simple. While his competition was taking a day off, he was getting 1 day better. And when people would ask him about this insane schedule, about the why, his answer was always so simple it was almost profound. He'd just say, why not? You have to remember, there was no instruction manual for winning 8 gold medals at a single Olympics. Nobody had ever done it. He had to write his own. And his was written in chlorine every single day. This is so key to understanding him. His legendary confidence, that swagger he had on the pool deck, it wasn't arrogance. Not at all. It came from the unshakable, bone-deep knowledge that no one, and I mean absolutely no one, on the entire planet had outworked him, period. By the time he stepped up on the blocks for a race, in his mind, the war was already won. The race itself, that was just the final battle. But here's the thing. His preparation wasn't just physical. A huge part of his training happened completely out of the pool. It happened inside his own mind. He and Bowman perfected this powerful tool they called the videotape technique. Now, this isn't just daydreaming about winning. This is a serious mental exercise. It's about turning your mind into the ultimate tool for victory by preparing it for every possible outcome. So here's how it worked. He would mentally play 3 different tapes over and over again. First was the perfect race tape. He'd visualize the ideal scenario, from a perfect start all the way to touching the wall and seeing a new world record. Second, he'd play the worst-case race tape. He'd visualize failing, losing, and he'd let himself feel that sting of defeat. Why? To make sure he absolutely hated that feeling and would do anything to avoid it. And third, and this one is the game changer, was the what-if tape. What if his goggles fill with water? What if his suit rips mid-race? He mentally rehearsed every possible disaster, programming his brain to adapt and overcome chaos, not panic. So you've got all these years of brutal physical work, all those hours of mental reps. Bob Bowman liked to say they were like making deposits in a bank. And at the 2008 Beijing Olympics, well, it was finally time to cash in. It was time to make a massive withdrawal. Leading up to Beijing, Phelps was just on another planet. He himself called it his unbeatable alien phase. He said that for 2 years, he felt like there wasn't a single soul on Earth who could touch him in the pool. He was fueled by that mountain of preparation, and he felt completely and utterly invincible. He didn't just show up to compete, he showed up to dominate. So the stage is set for absolute perfection. The quest for 8 gold medals is on. But what happens when the plan goes completely off the rails? What do you do when, in the biggest moment of your entire life, something goes terribly, terribly wrong? Here we are, Beijing 2008, the final of the 200-meter butterfly. The gun goes off, Phelps dives in, and disaster. His goggles immediately fill with water. He is swimming completely blind in the middle of an Olympic final with history hanging in the balance. So does he panic? Nope, not an option. Why? Because he'd already played this tape. He'd lived this what-if scenario in his head 1,000 times. He just calmly reverted to his training. He started counting his strokes, 16, 17, 18, knowing from muscle memory exactly where the wall was without even needing to see it. And he didn't just win the race, he broke the world record, blind. And you have to understand, his victories were often won by margins that are almost impossible to wrap your head around. In the 100-meter fly, he won by 1/100th of a second. That's it. That is literally the difference between a perfect stroke and gliding for a split second too long. A single bad stroke at any point, and it's a silver medal. All that preparation, every single one of those 2,190 days, it all came down to moments just like that. But after you've climbed the highest mountain in sports, after you've done the impossible, what comes next? For Michael Phelps, his toughest race was just beginning, and this time it had nothing to do with a swimming pool. It's hard to imagine, but once the roar of the crowd finally faded, Phelps found himself in a very dark place. He had achieved every single goal he had ever set for himself, and the silence that followed was just deafening. He battled severe depression and even had suicidal thoughts. It's a powerful reminder that even the strongest champions among us can struggle when the lights go out. And the transformation in his mindset, it's just incredible. This is a guy who famously said, "Silver is losing, we are second, you lost." That was the champion's mindset. But listen to the advocate's mindset now. Being able to save a life is 1,000 times better than winning an Olympic gold medal. I mean, that shift is it's profound. It's a completely new definition of what it means to win. And this is the number that drives him today. Not first place, but second. And it's a devastating statistic. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for people between the ages of 10 and 34. This is his new mission. He's channeling all of that champion's focus and obsession into tackling this crisis head-on. His message today is as simple as it is powerful. It's okay not to be okay. By being so open and sharing his own vulnerability, he's showing the entire world that asking for help isn't a weakness. It's actually a sign of incredible strength. It's a message for all of us, really, that checking in on our own mental health and checking in on our friends might just be the most important race we can ever run. So the journey of Michael Phelps really shows us the incredible power of obsession, first using it to achieve something close to athletic perfection, and now using it to save lives and foster human connection. And it really leaves us with a question to ask ourselves. What goal is worth our obsession? What mountain are we trying to climb? And in the end, what will our greatest victory really be?